Hello, I'm Dr. Danny Stetzel. I am a network spinal chiropractor. Today, what we are going to talk about is the first stage of somato-respiratory integration. And what is that? Somato means body, or soma means body. Respiratory is breath, and integration is the connection of the two. And when we can start to integrate our breath and our movement in our bodies, we can have a better experience of what our bodies are actually feeling, be more connected in the moment, and then let our bodies and nervous systems process information and respond accordingly. Stage 1 of SRI is all about that connection and building a connection in a place that generally there wasn't one before. So we're going to go through all of the parts, we'll break it down, and we'll talk about what your nervous system is doing and why it's so important to connect. So in stage 1 of SRI, as I said, it's connection. We're dealing with first awareness, then acknowledgement, and then acceptance. The AAA is really important because until we're aware of something that has been unresolved, we have no capacity to change it. Once we become aware through breath and movement, and we can acknowledge it and say, oh, I see you, then we can accept it and it can become something else and it can transform. So when we look at physiology, and especially stress physiology, because this is what stage 1 addresses, we see many things. Because you might say, well, I'm not stressed, or I'm not a stressed person, which is fair. We all experience stress differently, but our bodies will tell us before our minds do sometimes. And what this will feel like is increased heart rate, increased respiration, anxiety, our bodies tensing, all of our muscles being really tense all the time. It could be a decrease in hunger, it could be increased irritability, less ability to sleep. There's any number of things that your physiology, your body can do when you're in a stress response. So this stage 1 practice can help us drop into our bodies, support them in calming down that stress response so we can actually be more connected in everything that we do. The first thing we're going to do is find a spot in our bodies of physiological peace, we'll call it. And that's when you put your hands in that spot, your whole body starts to relax. Like the hug of a mother or a loved one. It's that kind of feeling. It's going to be on your upper body. So I'll move back so you can see me. You're going to put your hands over your arms, maybe on your neck, on your cheeks or your forehead, and find the spot on your body that when you put your hands there, your whole body just relaxes. For me, it's right here. And what I experience is a relaxation of my stomach. My face muscles actually all calm down, and I didn't even realize that they were tense. I can actually breathe deeper and my thoughts quiet. So that's physiological peace for me. So go ahead and find that spot for you. If you need to, pause this video so you can do that. Once you find that spot, I want you to close your eyes and just breathe into this area. So one thing we know about our hands is that 70% of what they touch, we don't even register. Only 30% we actually register. So if this is a spot of physiological peace, meaning this is a peaceful area of your body, and you can acknowledge that with 30% of your brain, the other 70%, that information is still going up into your brain, and your brain is acknowledging that, and it'll change your physiology. From there, we can bring that peace to a spot in our body that was maybe feeling anxiety, feeling discomfort, unease, dis-ease, and it doesn't have to be a disease process that we're familiar with, like Crohn's or anything like that. It can just be a lack of ease in the body. Let's say I've been feeling really anxious all day and I feel that in my throat. I can just bring my hands to my throat and breathe into that spot. And that's a tool that you can use. You can just go with that. What we're building right now is our recipe so that moving forward, you have all of these tools in your tool belt, in your SRI arsenal, so that you can use it throughout your day. Next piece, sometimes we really feel like we need peace. Maybe we have an overwhelming list of things we need to do, and we have to get them done. We don't have a choice. But generally, what happens when we feel peaceful? We don't want to do anything. So we feel relaxed, but it doesn't put us in motion. So what we'll talk about now is a space on your body of unlimited energy. And we all have it, even if you don't think you do. It's just stored and we don't know how to access it. So we're going to find that on our legs, because our legs, especially our quadriceps and our hamstrings, are the biggest muscle groups in our body, and they're for all of our fight or flight responses. So if we need to run from a mountain lion that's chasing us, we got to be able to use all of that energy stored in our legs, and we can use that now as well. So I'm going to slide back. I'm hoping that you can see me. You can. So I'm going to run my hand over my thighs, looking for a spot that when I run my hands over it, it sticks or jumps a little bit. For me, it's right here. So go ahead and find that spot for you. You're just gonna apply gentle pressure down into your thighs. And you'll notice when you get over this area, your hands, like I said, start to stick or slide, or, maybe it's a spot that just gets stuck there and you just keep going back. You're like, this feels really good and I don't know why. You'll notice that your palms get a little bit sweaty, because your body recognizes that energy there. Like we said, 70% of your tactile sense isn't actually registered consciously by your brain. So when you find that spot, what you're going to do is apply gentle pressure down into your leg, and then traction up towards your waist. So gentle pressure, traction up. You'll notice that my hands don't actually move. So I'm not sliding my hands up my thighs. I'm tractioning and letting the energy come up into my waist. And once I'm there, I can just breathe into that. As you're doing this, notice what your body does. For me, I automatically feel more energy in my system. I can breathe deeper and easier, and my body just feels electrified in a really alive way. So when I do that, and I breathe into this area, I'm charging my hands with that energy, and I can bring them to that same spot. Maybe this was feeling anxious, and I bring my hands there. And then instead of anxiety or overwhelm, maybe I feel powerful or I feel ready for what's coming. So you can connect your body with that part and have that resource right away. If you are a teacher and you're noticing that you have so many things to grade and curriculum to write and all of these tasks, and you just don't have the energy for it, it's a great tool. If you're a student and you have a lot of tests coming up, believe me, I was there recently and this was an awesome tool for me in a school setting. So check in with your body, use the resource you have available to you, and you can change your experience in a second. From there, what we can do is start to incorporate parts of our nervous system that have been turned off. The big premise of all of this is that when we go into a stress response, you can almost imagine a person standing right at your amygdala. Amygdala is your lizard brain, and it's our most primal response. And that person standing there, imagine the person that protects the pharaoh back in Egypt. He's always this huge, brawny man that says, "Ye shall not pass." And when that happens in your nervous system, your body gets signals that it's safe or it's not safe or it needs something, and it sends that signal up to the brain, trying to get it to go to the higher functioning brain. But when that man is there saying, "Ye shall not pass," because it doesn't feel safe, there's not enough energy, then that information gets shunted right back down to the body. And over time, that can lead to basically override of the organs and experiencing dis-ease that can lead to disease. So that's why it's so important to connect to your body. And these are some tools. So we're going to keep going through them. The next piece we have is sound. Because a lot of the stuff, the gunk, the energy we have stored in our bodies is from a point where it was pre-rational. So we couldn't reason through something. When we're babies and there's a scary sound, we think we're going to die. And that can store in our nervous systems. So this pre-rational sound that's stored in our system, when we make the sound that our body is experiencing, that same frequency, you'll feel satisfaction, you'll feel ease. And you might be thinking like, what is this woman talking about, making a sound when I'm touching my body? But what it really is expressing that frequency of energy that's in that area of your system so your brain can actually acknowledge it. If that's totally foreign and really uncomfortable for you, then describe it with a word. Like maybe my stomach right now feels yucky. And I don't really know what yucky sounds like, but if I say yucky and then like, it's a yucky sound. And the second I do that, again, my stomach unclenches, my body relaxes. So it's another tool that we can use. When whatever part of your body it is, maybe it's your throat, it's your collarbones, your solar plexus. When I make that sound, if it feels good, or whatever sound comes out, I'm acknowledging that part and bringing more awareness with my brain. Another piece is a statement. So it's acknowledging a part of us that generally we try to shove into the closet and close the door after throwing things on top of it, right? We don't want to deal with it. Or maybe it's the skeletons in your basement and you've just been throwing things in the basement and closing the door, throwing them in, and now we're starting to be like, oh right, there's a lot of stuff down there, and we're clearing out and coming into relationship with all of these things that we tried to throw away. So when we say these statements, it's going to be sometimes, as in not all the time, it feels like, or it seems like, acknowledging that's a construct of our brains. It's not necessarily true, but sometimes it feels like I'm so disconnected. Sometimes it feels like I can't do anything right. Sometimes I feel so alone. Sometimes I feel so overwhelmed. So you're acknowledging different parts that you'll feel throughout the day, but then you either say, I don't have time for that, or that's stupid, I know it's not true. Parts that we love to shame and make wrong, when we can acknowledge them and not say that they're true all the time, but that sometimes we feel this, again, it's letting our bodies become aware of, acknowledge, and accept what our nervous systems are experiencing. And just saying those things out loud can change your experience of your physiology. The biggest piece in all of these is really tuning into what you're feeling. Maybe at first, if this is the spot that feels disconnected for you, you breathe into it and you're like, how am I supposed to breathe into this spot? There's no lungs there. And then after you make a sound or you say something or you bring energy there, you're like, oh wow, it actually moves. I can actually get air there. So taking note of what you're experiencing is the most important piece of all of this, because then you can notice if things actually do change for you and if something else needs more support. So now we're going to go over the 3 different positions that you're going to start using. Your hands, as you've seen so far, are going to be just like this. The important piece is having your fingers overlap your palms on each side, because both hands go up to our brain, but they go to opposite sides. So my right actually goes to my left goes to my right. If it's crossed like this, then I'm sending different messages to my brain. It's not getting the same feedback. If it's crossed like this, both sides of my brain are getting the same feedback, and we can create more connection between both sides of the brain, which will help this process immensely. So make sure your hands are like this. Position, you can be laying on your back while you're doing this. So lay on your back with your knees bent. That's the optimal, because you don't have to think about keeping your muscles engaged and sitting up straight or anything like that. It takes your mind out of the picture so you can just feel and experience your body. So when you're laying on your back with your knees bent, hands like this, you're going to start up at your collarbones right here, placing your hands there. And when you breathe into that spot, you'll breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And whenever you breathe, you want to exaggerate the range of motion, because all of this is helping your brain to connect to those parts of your body. And when you exaggerate it, your brain can connect that much easier and see how hard it can be to connect to different parts. So make sure you're really exaggerating that range of motion. So you'll take 3 breaths at this place like we went over. You'll go to your solar plexus. Ladies, that's going to be at your bra line. Guys, it's going to be right below the nipple line. And you'll breathe there as well. 3 breaths. And then you'll go down to your belly button and do the same thing. So this first connection process can be a great on its own even, because it's helping you see what's different about each part. Maybe this part's really easy for me today, and this part's really hard, and I don't even realize I have a stomach. And that's great data. All we're doing is taking in data. Maybe there's one part that's really easy, the other part's pretty easy too, and then the third part is like, meh. With all of this, it's just noticing what's different, and then as you add in your recipe, what changes, so you can get more connection to your body. one thing that you can do practice-wise, you can go from the spot that feels really easy, let's say it's here, to the spot that feels hard. Let's say it's here. So I'll take 3 breaths here. And 1 breath here. And then I'll go back up and take 3 breaths here. And I can go back and forth between those two until I notice a change. Maybe it's a change in range of motion, it's a change in how much breath I can get into that area, it's a change in my body, change in how my thoughts are working. Any change is just what we want to notice. As we get more practiced in this practice, then what we can do is add in our recipe. So maybe you can connect really well with sound because that vibration really checks into your physiology, or you had a lot of trauma as a child and there are parts of you that are still stuck in that experience. Using sound can help you connect to those parts. So how we can combine those is I'd take 3 breaths into here, 1 into here, 3 into here, 1 into here, go back and forth, and then I stay at that spot that felt hard and go, ugh. Maybe I go back to the easy one, make an easy sound there. So that's how I can combine sound. I can even start with my spot of energy and gain some energy and then do that practice back and forth. I can start with peace and go back and forth. It's really your recipe to play with to see what helps you become aware of, acknowledge, and accept those different parts of your nervous system and our stress response. This is a practice you can use when you first wake up, before you go to bed, especially if you have trouble falling asleep at night. If you're in a stressful situation throughout the day, maybe you're just noticing that you're more anxious or overwhelmed, or you just feel really, really high strung all day. It's a great way to check in with your body and make sure that you have the resources that are here, but don't feel accessible or available to you. I am, like I said, Dr. Danielle Stetzel. I am here to help, so please reach out to me. Breathe Chiropractic is my office. You can find our information online, on the web, on Facebook, all the places. So there's way more that has to do with stage 1. It's such a complex and amazing practice, and I would love to help you further. So any questions, please reach out to me, and I hope you have an awesome day. Use this tool because it can totally change your experience of life and your body. Thank you so much for watching, and have fun playing.